Hey, welcome back to my channel. History really does seem to be repeating itself with the Duggar family, especially when it comes to Joseph and Kendra Duggar. And if you've been following my coverage for a while, you already know I've been talking about the Duggars for years now. At this point, it's been close to a decade. And honestly, what we're seeing right now feels like history repeating itself almost exactly. Because if you remember anything about the Josh Duggar case, the family stepped in and essentially took control of Anna's life. They made it very clear that they would take care of her as long as she didn't leave Josh. I was told by someone close to Jim Bob that he even promised Anna a house, saying, "If you stay with him, I'll give you a house," because they didn't want her walking away. And at one point, she was seriously considering divorce.
After that, they reassured her that if she stayed, they would financially support her and she would never need to work again. In a way, Anna ended up becoming dependent on them. This was something shared by people familiar with the family. And by doing that, they gained influence and control over her life, where she lived, who she interacted with, and even how she thought about major decisions. They were able to shape whether she agreed or disagreed with Joshua, influence her thoughts on divorce, and even impact how she viewed cooperating with authorities. There's a consistent pattern here. The Duggars tend to obstruct. During Josh Duggar's investigation, there were even situations where Anna and Josh were trying to shift blame onto others. At one point, it was said that Anna tried to involve Carlin Bates in a story about a car purchase that wasn't connected to Josh. That just shows how far things could go. It's all alleged, but it came from someone who was directly aware of the situation.
So when you understand this pattern, how the family brings the wives in closer when the sons are in trouble, what's happening now should definitely raise concerns. When I first started looking into this situation, someone close to Kendra, someone who has known her for years, was shocked by everything that happened. But they were very clear that Kendra had, for a long time, tried to distance herself from the Duggars. She was careful about who watched her children and mainly relied on her own parents. There had already been tension between her family and Jim Bob over issues involving the church, COVID, Josh, and even a situation involving James wanting to court their daughter. It all escalated into a major fallout, and eventually they separated more. Joseph even gave a home to his father-in-law. And when that house was purchased for a very low price, it was clear they were helping out her side of the family. So naturally, the expectation was that Kendra would stay close to her own family, not turn to the Duggars for support, especially after everything that had happened before. She stayed active in her dad's church, regularly involved in music and piano, while Joseph also had a role there. Her dad was the preacher, her mom worked in the nursery, and together they were running a small church community. So when everything happened, no one expected her to go back toward the Duggars. But then Jessa made a post, which she later deleted, saying, "Our hearts are grieving for the innocent young girl. We are pulling together to support Kendra and her kids during this difficult time." And if you understand how the Duggars operate, pulling together usually means bringing someone back into their circle. And why would they do that? To manage the narrative. Public image is everything to them. So when authorities showed up at the Duggar property, people were confused. Why would Kendra be there if she had been distancing herself? But the likely reason is simple: to keep everything controlled, make sure everyone's story lines up, and manage how things look from the outside. We've seen this before. Initially, it was said that Kendra wasn't even there, despite authorities having a warrant. They weren't allowed inside. That kind of resistance is not new. It's a pattern. In past situations, we've seen how refusal to cooperate only made things worse. Eventually, Kendra turned herself in, and Michelle Duggar was the one who drove her and handled the bond. And once that bond is paid, it creates influence. Now they're in a position where they're responsible for her compliance, making sure she follows the conditions and shows up when required. That's where the control starts. She has an arraignment coming up, and like in past cases, she has the option to waive the public reading of charges. So again, the same pattern appears. They step in, offer support, and at the same time maintain control over the situation. As for the children, it's been confirmed that they were removed by Child Protective Services. But now the narrative being pushed is that it's about something minor, like door locks. However, this suggests a deeper issue related to parenting practices. And again, lack of cooperation may have escalated the situation. Now, the story being presented publicly is that this is an overreaction, or even a targeted situation. We've seen this before, too, shifting blame onto authorities, claiming unfair treatment, and reframing the situation. But behind the scenes, this looks like damage control.
Kendra is likely being influenced to stay loyal, to stay quiet, and not to speak against Joseph. The focus will be on maintaining the marriage, protecting the family image, and avoiding anything that could make the situation worse publicly. But the key fact remains: the children have been removed, and that is serious. It suggests that restrictions are in place and that authorities are trying to investigate without outside interference. There are concerns about influence, about what may be said or not said, and about whether the truth can come out clearly. And this is only the beginning. If the children are able to speak openly, more information could surface. So right now, what we're seeing is a familiar pattern: control, denial, influence, and narrative management. And that's exactly why this situation matters so much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss an update.